Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on these gorgeous little glasses case holder, if you will. They will store your glasses and keep them safe from scratching and they look nice too. The stitch we used for this particular pattern here is actually called an even moss stitch. All right, now I've worked with moss stitch before, but I've never actually worked with the even moss stitch on the channel. I have produced other items with it in the past. I've made a thick warm blanket for a young newborn. But other than that, I have not worked with it here on the channel. So there you go. Now I use this button here because I love the look of it. But guys, if I were you, I would use a really big round button. Still using the same distance between the loop when you're making the loop. Just use a bigger button because I've noticed that this is really not the right size. You really need a nice big button in front. The only reason I used it, and I mentioned it in the tutorial as well, is have a look at it. It's got a little flower inside and it's got like a see-through. Kind of reminded me of glasses. Let's get a close-up for the sake of it. Look at that. Even see my lighting in the background. Look at the lighting. We'll move it away from the lighting, but there you go. How's that? That's the only reason why I used it. But seriously, guys, I would actually use a really big button. Find a nice one in your button stash. If not, purchase them. The smaller buttons just don't do this particular piece justice because this is a solid, chunky stitch, and it really would look better with a nice big size button. That's that. And just quickly letting you know, whoops, let's try that again. The yarn I'm using today is a cream and the delphinium. It's a blue. It's called delphinium, and I'll talk about the label in a minute. But just a quick one to let you know that this color combination was chosen by the lovely Claptrap during one of our subscribers, by the way, during one of our live antics. Now we have live antics on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. And what I do is I pop a whole lot of yarn on the table and choose one of the subscribers on that live, that particular live that we're on at that moment, to choose the color combination of our very next project. And the lovely Claptrap was chosen that day for this color combination. She chose the colors. She did not know what I was making, so there you go. I did say it had something to do with a Christmas gift, and this is a gift that you can actually give to your family, friend, whoever it is that you want to give your gift to. You can give them that. All right, the yarn was, and still is, because mine's completed but yours isn't, Bendigo Woolen Mills Luxury Delphinium. It calls for a 4mm hook, and we are using the 4mm hook. Just a heads up there, or a G size hook if you need the lettering. It is 100% pure wool. Okay, you can use wool, you can use acrylic, whatever you like. It is an 8-ply, and an 8-ply is a DK weight or a number 3 overseas. So just using a DK weight, matching DK weight. If you haven't got Bendigo in stock, just use a matching DK weight and you will come up with the same result. Now, quick one. How big is my little piece? The length itself was roughly 17 centimetres, or roughly, give or take a few millimetres. It was almost about 6.9 inches in length. But let's just take them out and show you my size glasses. Now, mine are actually quite thin and they're quite tiny. Yeah, so if you have a larger pair of glasses, which you most likely do, especially if they're sunglasses, the width will be perfect that way. But this way, I will tell you how many more stitches you would need to cast on for yours, because you actually cast the stitches on and we work along that way for our project. All right, so get rid of that. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started creating your, no, actually I have to tell you what else we need. What else do we need? We need scissors, we need stitch markers, and we need a sewing needle. You need a couple of different types of sewing needles, because if you've got buttons that have thinner holes, grab yourself a thinner sewing needle. Plus, we actually line our piece. All right, now the lining helps protect your glasses from the wool and from any other yuckies that's stuck in the wool. Yuckies, can I use that word? It helps protect anything from scratching your glasses. All right, now lining is just a basic cotton for me. You can use whatever you like as long as it can protect your glasses. The other thing I wanted to let you know about the tutorial, I had a lot of issues with sewing. Had a lot of issues with sewing the button because the needles were too small and I had to replace them. I had a lot of issues sewing in the lining. It was just so fiddly for me. So you might find some parts I just put the actual video on fast. But once I show you the first few stitches, you pretty much know what you're doing anyway. So you don't really need to watch me fumble about getting that stitching all wrong and messing up, which happened quite a bit in this tutorial. The designing of the crochet project is easy. Making it was easy. Just adding that lining is always an issue with me, and I'm forever pinning myself. I think I pinned myself one stage here and there. All right, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to let you get started creating your gorgeous glasses cover using the even moss stitch. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by making a slip knot. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Yeah. Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there. Pass the other loop all the way over your finger, pop your hook in, giving everything a tug. All right, we are going to start by chaining 30. All right, so yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once. That's one chain. Yarn over 2, yarn over 3, 4, 5. I'm going to pop this on fast for you and you get to 30 and I'll meet you there once you're done. 6, 30. All right, now before you continue, just a quick word to let you know, you actually need an even amount of stitches for this pattern to work. So 30 is a decent size for my small case, but if yours is a little bit larger, or if you need a larger one for your glasses, my suggestion would be to chain on 32 or 34 or even 36 if you have really large glasses, yeah? But most of them average around the same in length. So between 30 and 34 stitches, it should be enough, yeah? All right, so now we're going to focus on the very first section of even moss stitch. All right, that little stitch you have there, it's kind of connected to your hook. So you're going to skip that, jump into the one right next to it, pop your hook in, pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. That is a slip stitch. And I want you to actually pop a stitch marker in your slip stitch, if you will. All right. So now what you're going to do, in the next stitch, you're going to put a half double crochet, yarn over your hook, right in that top loop there, pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Your next stitch will be another slip stitch. So in the very next stitch, you pop your hook in, just a top loop there, pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Don't make these stitches too tight, yeah? So yarn over your hook, next stitch, half double. In, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 3. Guess what? That's it. Slip stitch in your next, like that. Not too tight. Half double in your next. And that's the stitch pattern. I was about to do another half. Don't do that. Slip stitch, half double. Slip stitch, half double. All right, so continue in that manner until you get to that last stitch. I'm not going to send you off on your own. I'm going to pop that on fast and you can watch it working all the way across the row here while it's on fast. All right, and off we go. Our very next stitch is a slip stitch and in you go. Pull the loop through and half double and off we go. and half right there, which is the second last stitch. I forgot. Am I recording? I am. I thought I was talking to myself. All right. The second last stitch, if you did your count correct, should have been a half double crochet stitch. Your very last stitch should be a slip stitch. All right. If you did not end up with a slip stitch in your last stitch, just check where you may have missed a stitch or chain or whatever you want to call them. You should actually have 29 across. If you had chained 32, you would have 31 across. If you had chained 34, you would have 33 across. We chained 30, so we should have 29. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 29 stitches across, yeah? All right, simple part, simple. Chaining 1. Let's show you what we're doing here. We're turning our work, whichever way you like, whatever's easier for you. If you want to turn your work this way and work that way, that's fine. If you want to turn your work this way and work that way, that's fine too. It's whatever's easier for you. Just remain consistent throughout your work. All right. So we are now going to work along the stitches we just created. Yeah. And in the very first stitch right there, which was a slip stitch in the previous round, we're going to slip stitch into. So pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Guess what? Add another stitch marker, because these slip stitches will be kind of tight to get into at the end of the row. So you would need to make sure you remember to get in there, or you might forget. And then you'll be one stitch short, which will put your pattern out, and you want to keep the pattern nice. All right, there we go. So that's your slip stitch. And now what you need to do is exactly what you did in the previous row. Yarn over your hook, you're going to put a half double in the half double stitch from the previous row. So there's your stitch. You've got your 2 loops, yeah? Pull it through like so. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You should have like a little line on the bottom to show you've done the stitch correct, yeah? Then, being careful not to miss your next stitch, these are the slip stitches, yeah? Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, and slip stitch. So you are putting a half double crochet on all your half double crochets and a slip stitch on all your slip stitches. Try not to miss anything or your pattern will not work. Okay, now I'm going to show you close up where that half double crochet is going into. First, let's do that slip stitch, which is right there. And you've got your 2 loops there. Yep. Pull the loop through like so. Yarn over your hook. We're going to do the half double again. So what you're doing is you're putting it through those 2 top loops. Don't put them through these loops here, or your pattern will not work. Yeah, it is through. You need to push it forward a bit so you can see it. The 2 top loops, the V if you will. All right, so that's pretty much the pattern all the way across the row. It is a very simple pattern which gives it a gorgeous texture. Yeah, so I'm going to pop this, without splitting the yarn, on fast for you, and I will meet you at the end of this row, and off we go. Alrighty guys, where you should be, this is the last 2 stitches. So let's get a close up. You should put a half double crochet in that second last stitch right there. And remember where we put our stitch marker before? That is where you are popping your slip stitch in there, like so. Pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook, taking out your stitch marker like so. Chain 1, flip your work again. Whichever way you went before, flip it the same way. into your slip stitch with a slip stitch, popping your stitch marker on. Get way too excited because you are going to repeat for the rest of your pattern. It's super duper easy. If I can get that in there. Hello. Hello. Look at this. I'm doing well. Everything's splitting. This is going to be a trying tutorial. I can just imagine it. So that's it. You're doing exactly the same thing in every row. It is such an easy and very exciting looking. I think it's exciting. I love this stitch. And I'm just upset that I didn't do this stitch in our Swatch Blanket of 2021. If you haven't seen that, there it is right there now. That's the Swatch Blanket we did last year. We made our swatches and we put them all together like you see in that picture there. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't actually make this one here in there because this would have looked gorgeous. But that's okay, we're doing it now. And we're making it for our gorgeous glasses case. Now, get excited, guys, because this is where I send you up on your own and you do the rows that you need for your glasses. Now, if you're doing this one right here, which is, and I'm telling you now, there's plenty of space in there. It's really quite big. If you had to put your 4 fingers in there, it fits perfectly with the 4 fingers, all right? So check your glasses. This is how I do it. If they're smaller than 4 fingers, then this will work, all right? And if you want to know the measurement of the width of your glasses, I will show you what mine is. I'm sorry, your glass case. Mine is 9.5 centimeters, which will be just under 4 inches, yeah? So that's that. That's easy, yeah? What you need to do now is do another 16 more rows, okay? You need to do 16 rows. We've already done 2, so you need to do 16 rows. And meet me back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our 16th row. Altogether you should have 18 rows, including the first 2 that we created there. And I'm going to slip stitch into my last stitch, pull a loop through, pull the loop through like normal, and chain 1 or pull up a loop, whatever you want to call it. So you're pulling up a loop, giving your work a cut, and you're done with one side. All right, you need to make another one exactly the same as this. But before you go, that's where you ended, yeah? What I want you to do is grab a stitch marker and just pop it on the bottom stitch that we first started with. But through the stitch, yeah, not just on the thread, through the stitch, to show that that is the start of our row. Now, you'll need that later. Don't worry about it for now, but you will need it for later. All right, so you need to do one more just like this. Meet me back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, so now we have our 2 pieces, okay, with your stitch markers down the bottom of the left-hand side where we first cast on, yeah? The reason I've done that is because when we sew these 2 pieces together, you'll notice one side is kind of thick and bulky and the other side is more flat. That's our last row. These 2 flat areas are our last row. If you were to put both the bulky sides together, it would kind of stick up a little bit. But if you were to face them like that, yeah, and have a bulky with a flat and a bulky with a flat, it would even out. But we're not going to worry about that yet because firstly, we're going to pop our button on before we do anything, because before we crochet these 2 pieces together, we need to line it. Before we need to line it, you need to pop your button on. All right. Now, the reason I also asked you to pop these little stitch markers down here is because I don't want that to be the top part of your glasses. That's going to be the bottom where we first started off with a chain, and we're going to leave that as the bottom, and the top is going to be up here. All right, so either one of these pieces will be the top of your glasses, up the top there. Pick one, they're both the same, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put my button there. Oh, by the way, this is the button I'm using. I wanted to show you this button. It's really unusual, and it just reminded me of glasses. Oh, that's the back of it. There we go. Because it's kind of got some part of it see-through and some part of it white. Look at that with a little flower in there. I loved it. It just reminded me of glasses because of the see-through-ish kind of look about it, so that's why I'm using this button. You can use a larger button. I just didn't have a big one in stock, but you can use any size you like. It doesn't matter. It just depends on the little strap later and how it fits over your button. Don't stress too much about that yet. We'll talk about that then. Where do you put your button, I hear you ask? Well, anywhere you want, right? I would pop it down, I don't know, I'd pop it down on the third. See those lines you see there? 1, 2, I'd pop it on the third one, and I'd pop it really in the center of the third one. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kind of half doubles. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right there. So it's 3 rows down and center there. Yep, I hope that helped. All right, so grab your sewing needle. Now make sure it goes through the holes on your button, otherwise forget it. I've actually gone through 3 different needles to find the right one. Grab your contrast color. You can use the blue if you like. Actually, the blue would look nice because it's a white button. But when we pop that little white thread over it, it's going to be white. I'm going to leave it white, and you don't need much. Not really. You kind of need, I don't know, double it, 2 hands. You really don't need much, yeah? And even that's too much. All right, but still, you know, better be safe than sorry. You know me, I always put too much rather than not enough. All right, now, buttons. Okay, take the button off for a minute. Remember the little spot you had. If you can't remember, just count back. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 down. Pop your needle underneath that stitch right there. Let me turn it around for you, and that's where we're going to pop our little needle. Now when you pull it through, remember you don't have a knot on your thread, so make sure you leave a long tail for weaving in later. But what we want to do first is we want to actually we'll put the button in first. We want to tie a knot first. So what we're going to do is just pop your thread through the button, whatever button you have. Now if you've got one of those buttons, can you believe this is not going to fit? Oh, that took a while to go through. But if you've got one of those buttons, as I was trying to say, that has the hole in one side, pull it through one side and then pull it back through to the other hole and then pass it through here. All right, so just pass it through any of the stitching there like so, pulling it through like so. And there you go. Turn it around and tie a knot just quickly. One little knot. No, better make that 2 knots. Make it 2 knots, yeah? Just to keep it in place. This way it's not going to come undone. We're still going to be sewing through it again, so keep going with your sewing. So all you need to do is find a little space in here, pop your needle through. Now, hello, let me bring that up a bit. Pop it through like so. Pull it through like that. And pull it through your one hole and then back through the top of the other hole and then straight through. Mine has one of those unusual looking buttons that goes through like this. If I can, I might be only able to do it one more time because this was a really tight button. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. I've kind of been doing this off air. Anyway, that's done. I'm not going to overdo mine for that simple reason that this button is not going to allow me to sew this up. So keep going through yours a couple of times. I'm going to leave mine like this. And once you're done, tie it in one more knot and a second knot, like so. Once you're done, you can do all this. Yeah. And with your needle, just, I don't know, weave it in. Weave it. Oh, I can get the needle to work. All right, here we go. And just kind of weave it in through some yarn, making sure you can't see it through here. Oh, it's nice and tight now. All right, so just weave it in and out of some of your thread. Possibly better if you're going to do this and you haven't got the right needle, just to use normal sewing thread. rather than yarn. There you go. So weave yours in a few times. You don't have to overdo this because this is going to be inside your lining. Yeah. And just grab your other thread and weave that in as well. Yes. I tell you what, I'm having a few issues with the sewing today, aren't I, guys? This is not a good thing today. So weave this one in and out once and twice, maybe 3 times. If you're a bit pedantic, make sure you can't see the needle from the front. Okay, and that's it. So what you need to do is cut that thread. You're good to go. Now what we need to do is line it. So we're going to grab our lining. Okay, and I haven't cut the lining yet. Oh, and you need to line it, you need to use a normal sewing thread. Yeah, so grab your normal sewing thread. Look how many needles I've got here. Look how many needles. This is because I tried to get it through. These are all the needles I tried to get through the button, except that one that's for sewing, right? These were all the needles I tried to get through the button. Can you believe it? All right, so grab your lining, which is right here. We use the lining for that particular bag right there. And if you're wanting to make that particular bag, check the description box down below and I'll leave the link there for you. In the meantime, grab your little pieces like so and pop it. I've got my lining doubled, right? So when I cut this one piece, I'll be cutting 2, all right? So it's up to you. You can do one at a time if you like, but we need to. So you grab a pencil and you just... Let's get that darkness. The material's in the way, so you're going to have a lot of darkness. All right, there we go. That's better. Now you know what you're doing. Now you can see what I'm doing. All right, so the idea is that you have to bear with me, guys. The sun, it's just a horrible weather today. We've had hailstones 3 times. Rain bucketing down, sun coming out at the same time. Who knows what's going on? But what you need to do, I'm going to put it this way so you can see what I'm doing, is just you need to leave yourself a little bit of this thread to fold over. A little bit of your material, I should say, to fold over. So it's got to fold over and be a tiny, tiny little bit off there so that we can crochet over this piece later. But in the meantime, just like give yourself, I don't know, half a centimetre, if you will. I don't know what that is in inches. 1/4 inch. I don't know. Centimetre, 1/4 inch. It doesn't matter, yeah? But it has to be bigger than your piece that you're working with. All right. So just make it a little bit bigger than the piece that you're working with. I'm going to have to turn this around, guys. It may come out a bit funny for you, but I need to turn it around too. Do that part right there. If you're worried about this and you want to pin it down, by all means pin it down. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. As long as it's bigger than your piece. Now this part here, exactly the same. Give yourself a little bit more. Whoops, not that much more. I got more happy. Do you like that? More happy. I'm going to take that off now because the rest I can work with. So that's all right. The rest I can straighten up. All right, so grab your scissors. This is the easy part. If you're worried about it moving, you can pop pins in. I'm not worried. I'm going to just keep going. Grab your scissors and cut. Oh my gosh, these are not very good scissors. Cut your piece. Can you believe it? Or maybe it's the person who's using them. Oh, tell her off for me, will you? Grab your scissors. I'm going to just pop this on fast for you and off we go. Alrighty guys, just had a pause on the recording there. I don't know what happened, but you didn't miss much. You just missed me saying all right. That's all you missed. Grab your pieces. That's grabbing your pieces. Now, okay, my lining isn't the perfect blue, but it doesn't matter. It didn't have to be exactly the same. So what you're going to do is flip this guy because you've got your button on the other side, haven't you? We're going to work on the button side for this one. Yeah. Grab end your lining, any one of your pieces that you just cut. Pop it on your piece. And all you have to do is literally fold it under and pin it in place. Alright, and you're just going to pin it into place. And what you need, let me show you a close-up. What you need is to give yourself enough leeway to pop your crochet hook in there to do single crochets later. Alright, so I'm going to just do that for now. Alright, once again I'm going to pop this part here on fast, and I'll do this side for you quickly so you can see what I'm doing. And when we do the opposite side, I'll pop it on fast. Alright, this is the easy bit. Well, this is the home stretch, guys. We're in the home stretch. We're in the home stretch. Just going to pop this further down here. The reason is I want to fix this part here up. Now there's your button, yeah? So get to the button edge and just, oh, take that out again. Fold that under like that. And we are crocheting a single crochet row up the top here as well. There you go. Grab your little needle and close that up. Without pinning yourself that I just did. Ouch. You didn't see that, did you? Don't you love it? There's always one time when I'm using pins that I hurt myself. It really is. All right, now you fold it over. All right, easy, yeah? Grabbing your needle across. Like that. Oh, before you do the base, because this is the base row, you might want to take that one undone for now. Pull this back a bit. Fold it under. Maybe I did do it a little too big. Again, you want to leave it so that you can crochet, do a crochet row over your stitches. All right, I hope that helps. So there we go. I'm going really slow, guys, because every time I work with needles, seriously end up having to wear band-aids because I end up pinning myself all the time. All right, so there it is. It's not like perfect. Get yours a bit straighter than mine, guys. Just giving it a big stretch into place. All right, that's one. What I want you to do, see where our little stitch marker is. This is why I wanted that here. I want you to put your stitch marker piece, the other one, on your left-hand side, and that is where you line your piece. All right, I'm not going to show you how to do this one because you've done this one. Just pin it all down, and when we get together, we'll talk about what to do. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of my little pieces there. Now, if you flip your work, that's where the button is, yeah? And if you flip it back, your stitch markers should be on either side, right? Later we're going to close it up and we're going to crochet over it when we're done. But for now, we are going to start sewing. What I want you to do is to sew the piece that doesn't have the button first. You will need to grab your sewing needle and your thread. Thread your needle, I did that off air. Because I knew I was going to have problems with it. Thread your sewing needle and actually make a couple of knots. How you do that, someone asked me once, how do you do your knots? Because I see you doing it and you rush it, which is true. What you do is you grab your little piece and you spin it in your fingers and you pull it down. And there's one knot. And you do it again. You grab it, spin it in your fingers like that and pull it down. And what you're doing is just twisting and twisting and twisting. Pulling and twisting it, and then you're pulling it down. And you do it a few times so you've got a nice thick knot. It doesn't really matter because that's going to be worked on the inside of your lining, the first part. All right, so that won't come undone, hopefully. It shouldn't. Look how many knots I put in. I don't even know how many knots I put in there. All right, so we're going to not work on the button one. We're going to work on the opposite one, right? And there's your stitch marker. Keep it there. This is just helping you find things. So grab your piece with your stitch marker. It doesn't matter where you start with your lining, but just don't remove your stitch marker, yeah? All right, so it doesn't really matter anyway. Pop your needle inside some of your lining. So it goes on the inside of your lining, not on your material first, just inside that lining. So your piece hasn't been touched at all. Your crochet piece hasn't been touched. It's just gone through the lining there. All right. And I'm just going to pull this thread through. There we go. All right. Now what will happen is the knot will tuck itself in there and you won't see it anymore. And you're thinking, are you sure? Yeah, this is how we get it to tuck in. Now it's in. Tuck it in a little bit. You've got that part sewn already. Now what you want to do is grab some yarn from this part here. If you want to go through the whole piece, you can, but I wouldn't. You just need a little tiny bit of yarn, a little tiny bit of the wool, yeah? Or whatever you're using, acrylic, whatever you're using, and just pull it through. Now, just being wary that you're not going through or you're not going over those needles there. Now, this is just pulled a little bit, so I'm going to fix it up. There we go. All right, so what's going to happen is you probably would have been better off starting from that side. Sorry, guys. If you're not started yet, start from that side there and work around this way. And you know what? I'm going to work this way. That way it'll be gone. In fact, I'll take out this needle now and I'll pop it there so it doesn't move out of place. All right, so now what we're going to do is just that. We're going to make sure that's not on there. Go back into, I'm not even in frame. Hello, let's get in frame there. Go back into the material, right on the point. You want to hide that material right down. And then turn your work and just go into some of your wool on the inside. Yeah, doesn't even matter if that cotton shows. It's so thin, it's not going to show. And then go back into your material here. And if you want, you can just go into that top bit and the rest hides underneath, if that helps. There you go, it hides the rest. All right, and just keep going. Alrighty guys, here we are at the corner. Alright, and all you're doing in the corner is you're taking a little bit on this side first and then going into your piece again, really close to the corner, yeah. And then you are just going to, and I'll get the thread right, turn your work and start working along the side of the piece. If it helps to go in one more time, you can. Make sure you are not sewing up the top because you need that area to crochet into later. Yeah, you must have that open for later. All right, and that's it. And now we're working down the side. All right. So I don't think I need to show you anymore. I think you know what you're doing, but what I want you to do is head off on your own, complete the length Do the corner again, down the side, do the corner and complete the length. Get right back here just before the closing up, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, let's take out that little last needle. Now I'm still going here. Even though I've taken out the needle, I still have this much to go. Alright, so I'm just going to make sure I've got space here and go through some of the stitching. Oops, am I in frame? Sorry. There you go. Into the material. Right, keeping it steady. That's where my initial thread started. So I'm going to go into a little stitch there and back in to the initial area. Now I did have to rethread my needle. Oh no, I did. All right, so when you get here, what you want to do is just go back in one more time, and before you pull it through, go halfway and then grab your needle and pop it through the loop, and it'll close up tight like that. You're going to do it one more time like that exactly. Making sure you pull it through the little loop so you can make the knot. And the knot goes in there. Now all I want you to do is weave your needle in and out of some of the stitches. Not the material, but some of the stitches. Alright, so all you need to do is weave a few more times in. Making sure you can't see the needle from the front, not my big hand, but the needle. I think that's plenty. How many times have I done it? Oh, I say as I just tangled the yarn in. Okay, there you go. Now what I want you to do is cut it. It's not going to come undone because you've done a knot. I should have cut it closer to the edge, but I was a little bit nervous. I didn't want to, ruin it. And that's your lined piece. That one there is your lined piece. Now that's still the bottom bit where the little stitch marker is. That's why I've asked you to keep it there. Move it out the way. Start on the next. All right. Rethread your needle. Now I did that off air. Because I knew I was going to fight with it. So I did it off air. It was a very, you know what, this cotton here is really, really thin. Really, I said that really long, didn't I? Really, really thin. Here we go. Make the knots. I'm not going to overdo it this time. Yeah, you can pop your little thread anywhere. I'm going to start down the bottom this time because if there's anything wrong with the knots, I can actually fix it up. And I'm going to start there this time. So you can start wherever you like. I'm going to start there, pop it through your material, yeah, and pull it right through until your knot comes through, which I don't remember seeing the knot go through, did it? Oh, it did. I'm just not focused. Oh, she's not focused, guys. All right. And just work in some stitching along. That might be too far, I think. I'm going to bring this up a little bit because I think that's too far, that one. I'll readjust this off air, but I'm going to bring mine up a little bit. It's way too far down there, yeah? I'm going to readjust it now, actually. Just going to move it over a little bit. That's better. I don't know how I did that. I've just pulled it real tight. But anyway, all right, so that's it. You know what you're doing. I'm sure you do. What I want you to do is continue this piece, complete it completely, sew it in and, tie the knot the way I showed you. And I will meet you back here once you're done and we will put our pieces together. All right, continue this one all the way around. Finish it off, make the knot, meet me back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, ta-da! They're both done. We still have tails on, don't worry about those. We're going to sort those out in a minute. Now what I want you to do is grab both your stitch markers, put them together like that, flip it over. Now when you look at it, that's the right way. Let's get rid of some thread. That's the right way and that's the right way. They're both on the right way. Plus, they are both, that's the bottom. All right, So that's how you remember it. That's the only reason I got you to put those stitch markers in. Yeah. So what I want you to do, that's the top of your glasses case. Grab your hook. Let's get a nice close-up. That's the top of where your button is. Face it this way. Pop your hook in the top stitch of that one. Pop your hook over here in the top stitch of that one there. Grab your white. Pop it over your hook, white, cream, whatever you're using. Pull the loop through. Pass your little tail forward. That's only going to lock it into place. We're going to crochet over it a little bit. So you're going to chain one, and in there you're going to do a single crochet. All right, so you're going to crochet over the tail a little bit. I might not. We can weave that in later. I prefer to weave that in, yeah? And what you're going to do is hop into every stitch across. Now these are side stitches, and you're going to do single crochets in every stitch, which is why I asked you not to put your lining too close to the stitches. Crocheting all the way across like so. All right, I'm going to pop this on fast for you, and what I want you to do is get to your orange stitch marker, whatever colour stitch marker you used. Get to your stitch marker, and I'll meet you there once you're done. All right, how'd you go, guys? I'm glad I put this on fast because there were so many mistakes. It took me so long. The yarn got caught under the table. Take out your stitch markers, by the way, guys. The yarn got caught under the table. The thread got stuck. I kept missing stitches at the back. Make sure that you have collected all your stitches at the back. Yeah, that's what I kept doing wrong. I kept missing them. I had to keep turning it over a few times. Yeah. Oh, all right, we've got 2 stitches, 3 stitches on this side, 3 on that side, and away we go. 1, 2, see, I have to check to see if I'm going in. And there's the last one there, which is where our knots are. So grab your knots, pass them at the back, do your single crochet in that stitch. Pop another single crochet in that stitch. And 1 more, just for fun. So 3 in the 1 stitch. It's not fun, it's to keep it sturdy. And then go along the side doing what you've been doing all along. And it's not just to keep it sturdy, but it's also to give it a straight point rather than a curved. If you want it curved, take out 1 single crochet and just put 2. But I want mine to be nice and straight, yeah? But that's, it's up to you. Either way, all right? Alrighty, I'm just struggling in here, guys. I have actually that stitch there. I'm going to see if I can get a close-up for you so you guys can see it too, because you might be struggling as well. There's a stitch right there and right behind it there. All right, it's very tricky now because we've got our single and our slip. It's kind of like a chain stitch. Yeah, it's very tricky, but we're getting there. There's a last stitch and there's your last stitch. It's not exactly a last stitch because you've got the tight stitch up there, your single crochet up there, and your slip stitch in there, right there. So in that stitch there, you're going to put 2 more single crochets, 1 and 2. So you've got your corner now. If you've only put 2 over here, only put 2 there. I've got 3 altogether on both sides. All right, now go into that stitch and into an opposite stitch. Like that. All right, so once again, I'm going to pop this on fast. Hopefully I don't make as many mistakes as I did with the other side. Well, this one looks a lot easier actually. I'm not even in frame. It looks so much easier, all right? So I'm going to pop this on fast. Let's bring it out so I can be in frame more. I'll pop it on fast and I will meet you once we get to the end of this side and off we go. Alrighty guys, here I'm at the end of this side here. Have a couple of stitches left to go. One on that side, one on the other. One there. Oops. Did I go through the stitch or not? No, I didn't. Let's try that again. And there. Here we go. Now we're under control. All you're doing is chaining 1. You're going back into the stitch, passing your blue tail at the back and doing a single crochet. Pop a stitch marker in there because you don't want, you want to be able to slip stitch back into that stitch later, right? And then you're going to single crochet into every space you see here. So there's a space there, there's a space there, and there, just single crocheting all the way along. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. Yeah, you are just popping single crochets in all the spaces without splitting the yarn. I kept splitting the yarn before and I had to take it undone and spin it. And if you're not sure what that is, when you split your yarn, just give it a bit of a spin. Not too much because you don't want it to be thinning out, and then continue and your yarn stops splitting. All right, it's if you think about the way they make yarn or make wool in general, they do a whole lot of spinning. Usually they have a little bit of water, but you know, we can cheat for a while. We can cheat. Do you like that? We can cheat. Now I'm just making it in those stitches because that lining is pretty close. So there we go. All right, here we go. We're getting close. We're getting close. And there's a stitch there. And there's a stitch. We're going into the stitch that's already there, like so. And what I want you to do here, because that one's actually joined, I actually do want you to slip stitch into it. It's not going to hurt. Slip stitch like that. Pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. You're jumping over it and you're popping a single crochet. I'm going over that tail, right? Popping a single crochet in the stitch that you're already in, yeah? But on the back. Tighten it up. You don't want that to be loose. Yeah, and you can crochet over the tail if you like. I'm just going to do it once. I'm not even going to do it once because this is really loose here. All right. Don't know if it's just me or you, but mine's really loose there. But do a single crochet in it. We're going to weave that tail in later. And then just single crochet across. This is a little awkward this side, but still look for little spaces that you can go into. Again, no right or wrong way of doing this. A single crochet can go into any stitch or any side stitch that's there. All right. It's simple as. Get excited, guys, because we are actually on a home stretch. We have one more job to do, and that is to make the buttonhole that comes forward. Actually, we're not doing a buttonhole in our material. We're doing one that comes forward, like a little strap, if you will. All right. Single crochet, and single crochet all the way across. All right, here we go. There's your blue. You can either pass that one down, which I might do, and just go into it. And all you need to do, see that little stitch right there? You need to go into that stitch. See if I can crochet over that blue a little bit. Like that. And then you are slip stitching into that stitch, which is why I got you to slip stitch the opposite side. So you go into, oh, it's real tight. Into the tight stitch, slip stitch, and take your stitch marker out, pull a loop through, give your work a cut in the nick of time because my yarn's getting all caught up over there, and bring it out. Pop your little guy down like that. See that right there? Follow it. Up and over and into the stitch on the opposite side. You're going to do the same with this one. That one there, up, over, and into the stitch on this side. Well, maybe do it right, Mary. Do it right. All right, so that's where your little chain should be. How long should your chain be? I don't know. Let's have a play. The idea is to play with your chain for how far down you put your button. And I put this in all crooked. She's all over the place, guys. Pop your hook in. Yes, grabbing your little thread, popping it through like so. And, oh, there's a lot of weaving in to do, guys. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's have a look. See how far 9 goes? Yeah. And stretched, 9 will be there. So what I want you to do is do 2 more. 1, 2. And it goes like that. Then you're doing 9 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Flip your work, slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. And pull that loop through like so. Chain 1, or pull up a loop. Take out your stitch marker like so, cut your work and pull that loop through. Actually, before you cut, you should have checked. It doesn't matter because we have plenty of thread. We could have done 2 more threads if we need it. And you just grab it and you pop it over your little button like so. Now that's all loose. You're wondering why, oh no, it's loose, but that's only because there's nothing in it. Wait until we pop our glasses in it. Don't worry about the ends, we'll talk about those in a minute. You just pop your glasses right in there. If I can get all the threads out the way. And then you bring your little loop forward and ta-da! Now if you do find that too loose, you can take it undone and get rid of 2 threads. But look at that. Simply divine, simply divine. It is done, it is done, it is done, it is done. Now you could use it for your sunglasses, you can use it for your reading glasses. I'm using mine for my reading glasses, but we are going to have to weave in a gazillion ends. So take this out. I'm going to put it back on now because I need them. I can't work without them. Just grabbing a needle. You've got a lot of ends, But the bonus is, guys, you probably should have weaved these blue ones in earlier, but it doesn't matter. The bonus is you can weave them any way you like, and you can actually weave them into your lining part, because once it's in, it's not coming out. But before you do, I do want you to try weaving that through a few threads on top first. So thread your needle with the blue, weave it through a few threads on top like that. Yeah, I'm going to go through a bit more because we've got this other thread here. It's going to have to come that way, like so. Yep. And once again, we're going to be going kind of through some stitches, but underneath, a whole lot underneath, not on top, but underneath. So it's actually working through your lining, this part. You're not going through the lining, it's working just under the lining. So there we go. I think that's plenty. That is plenty. It's underneath your lining, so what you're going to do, or underneath your work, you're going to do that and just give it a tug. It'll hide inside your lining. I hope that was in frame. If it wasn't, guess what? We're going to do another one. Because I don't know if it was in frame or not. Doesn't look like it was. I wasn't looking through the camera, guys. I do apologise. Alright, so I did thread that off here. It took forever, and I realised because I had my sewing needle and not my darning needle. So I'm doing really badly today with the sewing. But anyway, we're going to go through some of these stitches here for this one. Just one section. And pull it through really tight. I want to get rid of that knot right there. Then you're going to come through and do exactly what we did before. See how I'm going under the stitching and inside the little case, yeah? Under the stitching, into the case. You won't need this anymore. I think the 3 is done. All right. So your job now, guys, is to weave in all these ends. Let me flip your work. Alrighty, guys, I'm just going to show you quickly what to do with these tails here. Let's get everything out the way. That's better. It's the tails that we use to attach our little piece with. If you are happy with this length and you're ready to weave in, by all means, go ahead and weave in with us. If you find it too loose, take it undone, the slip stitch, and then just take 2 stitches off, and that can tighten it up. If you find it's not tight enough, then just add a few more stitches. We've got plenty of thread left, yeah? So in the meantime, what we want to do, this is the one that we slip stitched at the end. All we want to do is find some space somewhere at the back of the stitch. Right there, there's your stitch in front, and you're going all the way through to the back, like so, and it's gone to the back. And then what you want to do is just find some stitches down here to weave into. I would actually go right into the stitch down there, like that, yeah. And then just weave in along there a few times. If I can do it, then I will. One way. Notice how I split the yarn there on purpose, yeah? And then you are splitting some more to go back in the other direction that you just came in. Yep, and guess what? You're going to do it again. Don't pull them too tight, yeah? You're going to do it again, but back in the other way, splitting some more yarn. Real tight now, guys. Real tight, all right? I'm not going to worry too much about it now because that's plenty tight, like so. All right, grab your thread. All the other ones you can weave in and out of your little baggie. But this part here kind of needs a little bit more attention because it's showing, yeah? And this was the initial first stitch, which is easy. All you do is bring your little stitch down, your thread down, and you're going to weave that way. This one went that way, this one's going this way. And all you're doing is splitting the white, not the blue. Just, you might be able to get a little bit of blue, that's okay. Just make sure you can't see the needle from the front, yeah? Oh my gosh, that is really tight. Really, it's my tight stitching, guys. It really is. All right, cut your work. Grab your glasses, which are still on my face. Pop them in. I need them, otherwise I can't see. And just pop your little doodah over your button, like so. Ta-da! Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. And a special thank you to the lovely Claptrap for her choice in colour combination today. All right, there's our very first Christmas gift for our family, friends, neighbours, carers, whoever is you are making your gift for. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, if you want to be a part of Live Antics and have your colour combination chosen for the very next tutorial on the channel, please watch us at 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time, and you can have an opportunity to choose the very next colour. Thank you for watching, and ciao for now.